Hello and welcome to a new Pokemon Unite video. So today's a bit of a tips video. We're going to look at all the best items in the game and consider which ones are maybe the best for you to invest in, the best combos, what ones work well in different Pokemon, and just different situations. So we're going to get straight into the video here. So first of all, we're going to look at damaging items. So the first one we're going to look at is the Muscle Band. And the way the Muscle Band works is when basic attacks hit, the damage is increased by 3% of the opponent's remaining HP. It also gives you a flat attack and attack speed increase, so your basic attacks just get a lot of damage from this, and it's really effective on Pokemon like Cinderace and Garchomp that take advantage of their basic attack damage. Even special attackers like Alolan Ninetales with its Aurora Veil build can use it, and as well as Venusaur with its super strong boosted attack. But this is a really solid item on most attackers in the game, not just the ones I've mentioned, so I have taken it up to level 30. And it doesn't need to go up there. I mean, it's very good at level 20 as well, and it is one that I would advise you do invest in heading into Season 2. And to go along with that, another great item is the Scope Lens, and again it just increases the damage of your basic attack critical hits. The higher the Pokemon's attack, the more damage it increases, and it's 75% of the attack at level 20. You get a crit rate and crit damage flat boost. This is amazing again for basic attackers, so the likes of Cinderace and Garchomp that I mentioned before, this can work well on them. If you can run a build that has 2 attacking items instead of maybe 2 defensive items, then these two work really well together for these basic attack Pokemon. It's again another really good option for any Pokemon, and it does scale a little better than Muscle Band in the late game, but it's very minimal the difference. I would advise you investing in this one as well. It's another great item to take to 30. But again, it works really effectively at 20 as well. And sometimes, I would put both these on my Cinderace and it would just melt people. And even sometimes a third attacking item, but it's a bit crazy in terms of survivability. You have to be very careful. But yeah, Scope Lens is a fantastic item, so I definitely recommend you invest in it and at least get it up to level 20. So next up is one of the newer items in the game, and that is the Razer Claw. And after a Pokemon uses a move, its next attack deals a minimum of 20 more damage. So the higher the Pokemon's attack, the more the damage increases. So this item also does have an additional effect, and that's when this item is held by a melee Pokemon, its basic attacks also decrease the movement speed of the opposing Pokemon for a short time. So it works a wee bit like the jungle buff that you get from Buffalon, and it also gives you a nice attack and critical hit rate flat stat increase. It works really well in attack-based Pokemon that use moves often, but have a great basic attack like Greninja. It helps them with executes and bursts. So Razer Claw is another item I really like, and I would recommend you investing in it. You don't have to take it the whole way up to 30, it works just as effectively at 20, and it is a very good item. So now we need to give the special attackers a little bit of love, and that's why I'm going to go straight on to Choice Specs, another new item in the game. And the way that Choice Specs works is kind of similar to Razer Claw. It's all based around the Pokemon's moves. So it increases the damage of moves by a minimum of 60 when they hit. The higher the Pokemon's special attack, the more the damage is increased. You do get a pretty good special attack flat stat increase. And it works really well with special attackers that rely heavily on their moves, like Sylveon or Pikachu that are just spamming like their Electro Ball or their Hyper Voice. And they make great use of this item, and it really helps with their burst. So I would advise you sticking it on them if you're using them. And another item that goes really well with Choice Specs is the Wise Glasses. So this is a really basic item, and it just increases your special attack by 7%, and it also gives you a flat special attack increase. And it's a really solid item for special attackers as it's just a strong stat increase, and it works really well alongside Choice Specs, like I mentioned before, if you can take 2 damaging items. So now we have 2 niche attacking items, and firstly we have Attack Weight. And this is one of the best items in the game if you can use it correctly. You will get such a massive attack boost. So the way this item works is when the Pokemon scores a goal, its attack is increased by 12. And it's an amazing item if you can get lots of scores in quickly. It does stack up to 6 times, 1 time per every goal. And the boost is permanent. So if you even die, it still stays with you the whole game. It is the best overall attack boost in the game. So you just have to keep scoring and play a strong Pokemon that can take a lot of damage and move around goal zones efficiently without risking dying. Lucario is a great example of this, and Attack Weight is what I believe to be one of the items in his best build. The item pairs very well with Score Shield, which we'll discuss later, Also, I've just released a video of Lucario using this combo, so make sure to go and check that out. I'll put the link up in the top here and in the description. So yeah, I do think if you play Pokemon that can make use of attack weight, they can score easily, they can stay alive long enough to get the scores off, and they're able to get out of there and boost their stacks up, then this is definitely an item you need to invest in. If you don't play any Pokemon like that, then I wouldn't recommend it. You do see here that I've only got it as grade 2, but that's because I've just started using it with Lucario. I didn't play an awful lot of Lucario before, but I do have the grade booster on it, and as soon as that runs out, I will be investing heavily into it. So next is the special attack specs, and this is an item I invested in quite early when I played Gengar early game. It works very similar to the attack weight, so when the Pokemon scores a goal, its special attack is increased by 16, and it also gives you a flat special attack boost. Again, this works the same way as attack weight. It stacks up to 6 times, 1 time for every goal, and the boost is permanent. However, I feel like it's more difficult to use because special attackers they're a lot more squishy, and it's harder to score with. I did find this pretty effective on Gengar, who at the time with his Hex build could get in and out of situations pretty quickly, but I honestly rarely use it anymore, as I feel like the special attackers I play just don't score enough to make use of this item. But if used well, it can be very strong. So now on to the survivability items, and these are some of the most important items in the game. And the first one I want to talk about is quite possibly the best item in the game, and that's Buddy Barrier. And I would advise everyone to get this up to at least level 20, and it is a great item to take to level 30 because you can use it on every single Pokemon. And the way it works is when your Pokemon uses its Unite move, it'll grant a shield to you and your ally Pokemon with the lowest HP, and the shield is up to 40%, so it's a lot of health that the enemies have to chunk down. So if you're having a big team fight around Zapdos trying to fight for that objective to win the game, and you've got 4 or 5 buddy barriers going off with 4 or 5 ults versus a team that don't have any, you're going to win that fight because you're just going to have so much more survivability, and it's a great option for team fights and games that you're going to work and coordinate as a team. So I would advise everyone to invest into this item. Next is another great item that I have invested heavily into, and that is Focus Band. And the way it works is when the Pokemon drops to low HP, then each second for 3 seconds it recovers 14% of the HP it had lost. The effect does have a 90-second cooldown, but I just find it so useful in so many situations. You also get a good defensive boost to your stats as well. And it's probably one of my favourite defensive items because I play a lot of solo queue. It not only helps with survivability, but as I play a lot of attackers, it can deceive the enemy because they might think that they're going to get a kill on you and they risk their life. So they dive in on you, and then next thing your health pops back up and you turn the tide of the fight and KO them. So I do like this. And just like Buddy Barrier, it works really well on lots of Pokemon, and they can actually work well as a really good combo if you want to just use one attacking item and maybe 2 defensive items. But I do recommend both these items as they are the core to so many builds. So next is another great item, and that is Score Shield. So the way this item works is while you're attempting to score a goal, you'll be granted a 10% of your max HP shield, and you cannot be interrupted while you're shielded. You also get a flat HP boost, and the effect only has a 6-second cooldown, which is really good. So this is amazing for any Pokemon that scores a lot of goals. It gives you a shield that the enemy have to break through before they can interrupt your score, which can be the difference between scoring 100 at the end of the game and scoring nothing. You know, the most important effect, I think, is that you cannot be interrupted, because the way most Pokemon stop you from scoring late game is by landing on you with their jump pad, and it just mitigates the interruption from that. And often, if you have a score shield, you will get your score off. Crustle and Lucario both make really good use of this, but most defenders can rock it, and really any Pokemon if you want, that can get frequent scoring opportunities. I personally use it in all my defenders and Lucario. Because of that attack weight build, it works so good. So I would definitely recommend you investing in Score Shield, as it's such a good item if you do play them type of Pokemon. If you don't really play them as much, you mightn't get as much use out of it, but it can be played on any Pokemon as well. So now on to a niche defensive item, and that's the Eos Cookie. So when the Pokemon scores a goal, its max HP is increased by 200. So this works similar to the attack weight and special attack specs. So it again stacks up to 6 times and gives you a permanent HP boost throughout the game. As defenders can score easily, it can be really good for them because you can build up that HP and get really thick and chunky. But this item is most effective on Crustle, who is just an absolute scoring machine if played correctly. So if you play any of them Pokemon and you feel like it might be useful, then feel free to invest in it. But personally, I haven't invested in it yet. But if I was to play a Crustle build, it would be a consideration. So finally, guys, we're going to look at some niche items. So firstly, we have the Exp Share. So the way that this item works is while the Pokemon has the fewest XP points in the team, it'll get 4 XP points per second. And in addition to that, when an enemy defeats a wild Pokemon, that teammate gains slightly more XP points. It also has an HP and movement speed increase. So this can be very effective on support Pokemon because they often let the attackers last hit the farm to give them the best boost to help carry the game. So this can sort of help stop there being too much of a level advantage and also help your teammates level up. So it might fit that niche, and if it does for you, then I would invest in it, but personally I haven't seen a need to yet. And on to another one, Weakness Policy. So Weakness Policy is another new item into the game, and I feel like it needs a little bit more testing, but the way it works is it increases the Pokemon's attack for a short time by a minimum of 3% when the Pokemon receives damage. So this increase grows larger the more times damage is received, and it gives you an HP and attack stat boost as well, and it stacks up to a maximum of 4 times and then expires after 5 seconds of being out of combat. So this item could be very good for the likes of maybe damage Snorlax with a Flail build, or a damage build Crustle. I also feel it could potentially be good in Greedent. You would have to check out his scaling and things like that. And I feel like it also could potentially work on like a Lucario build that I might look into in the future because I have started playing quite a bit of him. But you have to play a Pokemon that can take a lot of damage and then dish it back out. So it is quite a niche item in that sense because not all Pokemon can work with that. But if you feel like it would fit your build, then go ahead and invest in it. It might be one that I do invest in the future. So the final niche item I want to go over here is the Floatstone. And the way the Floatstone works is it increases your movement speed by 20% when you're not in combat, and it activates after 8 seconds of being out of combat. I think that could maybe be lowered a little bit. So it's a great option if you have a strategy that requires you to move quickly around the map, such as maybe working well on a counter jungle strategy. I personally have not invested in this item, but I do see opportunity for its uses. So there are items in this list such as the Energy Amplifier, which could be used really well in some builds to try and get your Unite move charge rate up and get your cooldowns reduced and then just do more damage after you use your Unite move, so it allows for high burst builds. I haven't invested in it, but it does have its uses. There are items in this list that I haven't went over, such as the Shell Bell, the Assault Vest, and the Rocky Helmet, and I just feel like they're just not good enough at the moment, and I wouldn't play them or invest in them at all. I feel like it would be a bit of a waste for you. They obviously have their uses here and there, but there are just so many other items that are so much better. So yeah guys, hopefully I've given you a good explanation of the best items in the game and the particular uses for each of them. So let me know what your builds are and what items you like playing on certain Pokemon in the comments. And if you want me to do a video showing each of my builds I use for each Pokemon, then like the video and let me know. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video guys, and until the next time, Fergie out.